The question here is simply that it may be an age-old practice, but the fact is that Agnipath scheme is a new scheme. Why does the caste certificate requirement continue to be there? Is it a fact that, it's come in because of legacy and there's been no application of mind in the newer process? And number two, many people here also question the fact that, it is absolutely schemes that come out from your own party and government where involvement of people, views of people are not taken on board. How do you respond to these criticisms coming up, Mr. Nalin Kohli?
Thank you, Navikaji. Several things to say. Let's come first to the scheme itself. Agnipath is not a scheme that has emanated from the BJP headquarters or anywhere else. It's a scheme that has been in the making based on the requirements of the army, and the people who have decided it are essentially the armed forces chiefs and their teams. They've looked at it in a comparative of how are global standards, and this is part of an evolving structure. After the Kargil war, there was also an A.V. Singh committee which had spoken about command and exit, things like that. In a continuum, these things have been part of it. Agnipath is a continuum of that process of how an army evolves. Second, the army and the armed forces does work with traditions. And I think everyone would hold it. There are some strong, rich traditions. That brings us to the third part, which is about the caste certificates, etc. The fact of the matter is, this is an old discussion which irresponsibly asking questions in a democracy is good. Opposition leaders must ask questions for a healthy democracy, but also there is an element of responsibility before one starts a wildfire, not understanding that a spark sets off a wildfire in the wrong direction. This particular thing of caste certificates or etc., or asking the caste of a person, has existed for over a century possibly, certainly since 1949 when there was a special order. And as people point out, that this has to also do with the fact that in this unique service, because it's not just a service as a job, in the army people go out there with patriotism in their heart, fighting for the country, defending the country, taking a bullet for the country, and even getting martyred for the country. And in that process, sometimes last rites need to be done. Other things are there, customs and traditions to be followed. How this caste issue used to be there. This has been a subject matter of a PIL also in 2013, where the stand of the army, and this is much preceding the Modi government, where the stand of the government before the Supreme Court was clearly, caste and religion have no place in the recruitment to an army or in recruitment to the army. This is for other administrative and other reasons. And that's it. Now let's come to some of the arguments on the show. I think it's a Mr. Bhardwaj who spoke before me when the audio was bad. However, he went on to say, now this is 4 years. How will we decide? Now you start after the main premise on which the attack took place in the morning without looking at it in totality, without knowing the facts. Now they want to change the goalposts. Oh, what will happen after 4 years? 7.5 lakh people have applied for the Agnipath scheme only for the Air Force recruitment, which came out in the newspapers a few days ago. Leave it for the people of India to decide. There are enough youth in this country who want to serve the country, who wish to be in the armed force, come out and be open to further employment through, as different ministries have said, in the Central Reserve, in Central Armed Police Forces, whether it's the CRPF or etc., or continue into the army, because 25% of them can continue. Instead of creating a fear psychosis in the country, the opposition leaders would do well to do their homework first. After doing their homework, raise a substantive issue in which there is merits, rather than starting a wildfire with no substance at all.